Welcome back for another video. Fresh off the back of all the Premier League games, let's discuss what we've learned to take into the blank game week, plus I'll go through my team selection and transfer plans. Drop a comment below of how many points you're on. Some exciting news just before we get into the video. A brand new addition to FPL.page and the FPL Focal app. It's Team of the Week. Been working on this one for several weeks, so the purpose of it is to show you the best team for the next game week, so you can kind of benchmark your team against it, or you could use it as a guide if you're free hitting. It's powered by FPL Review's premium data, and it automatically updates itself throughout the week based on team news, injuries, or changes to predicted player minutes. I even made away kits for every team, so for a bit of fun there's even a toggle for that. It ended up being quite a big job in the end, because just when I thought I'd done with the home kits and away kits, I realised that I had to do 20 goalkeeper kits as well. So anyway, it's finally live. It's on the app and is also on the website. If you'd like to unlock the premium features on the website, it's only 77p per week. That hides all the ads. You can customize the dashboard so you can move the widgets around on desktop and mobile. You can change the theme. Basically, you can make it your own. Like, I know there's some widgets that some of you guys never use, and you can just remove them if you want or move them down. I'm the same, so just customize it completely how you want. Trusted by over 450,000 FPL managers that use it. FPL.page or search FPL Focal in the App Store. There's links in the description for that. Thank you for the support. Burnley versus Bournemouth ended up a board draw 0-0, but if you were playing a Bournemouth defender or maybe Dubravka, then you'll gladly take that. Some serious points dodging from Tavernier again, 0.58 XGI, and he had 1.47 XGI the match before, so that's no returns from just over 2 expected goal involvements. He hit the post again, that's the second game in a row he's done that. Bournemouth collectively amassed 2.5 expected goals, but yeah, 0-0. Krupi did get the start, but whether he starts again in 31, I think it's a bit of a question mark. He's started 3 of the last 5 now, so he's definitely a risk. Though obviously in some cases, I know some of you guys are just having to field him to get 11 players out, so it's kind of a hope for the best in the blank game week situation. Obviously with the benefit of saving a chip as well, if you can just get 11 players out. Remarkably, 4.2 million Hill has blanked once in his last 8 games. 53 points over the last 8 is second in the league. Only João Pedro's got more. That said, if you need a defender for blank Gameweek 31, I'd be looking elsewhere. We'll talk Gameweek 31 defenders in a second. At 16 years and 73 days old, Dalman becomes the youngest scorer in Premier League history. What a record. That's going to be hard to beat. He's actually the second 16-year-old to score this season. The other one was Ungamoa. The last time that 2 scored in the season that was 16 was 2002-03. That was FPL's first ever season. Those 2 16-year-olds that scored were Rooney and Milner. He completely changed the game when he came on as well. Big credit to Everton, like they were missing both Tarkowski and Branthwaite. They had Keane and O'Brien, the centre-back pairing, and it was a back 4 that Everton had never played before, and they nearly pulled it off. Moyes was asked about both Tarkowski and Branthwaite after the game, and he said, "I've got nothing to say about them," so that doesn't help at all. Reliable sources have said Tarkowski sustained an injury in training. It's unclear if he'll be back for the blank or not at this point. The only downer of the game really, from an Arsenal perspective, was Timber being forced off in the first half. Possible groin injury there. Hopefully he's available for the League Cup final Sunday. But yeah, from an FPL perspective, he's obviously an easy sell anyway with the blank game week. Saliba got max bonus, 11 pointer plus Defcon there. And Gabriel also snuck into Defcon after Opta's update with exactly 10. The other 5:30 PM game on at the same time was Chelsea against Newcastle, which was won by a Gordon goal. One of the weirdest things I've ever seen before a game, with referee Paul Tierney inside the Chelsea team huddle on the halfway line. Rosenior was critical of him after the game for a missed penalty that wasn't given, so I guess the huddle didn't make much difference, but yeah, really strange. Anyway, Gordon, I think he's actually worth considering for Gameweek 31. Like, he's on penalties, he's got Sunderland home. It'll be especially tempting if the likes of, Mukiele and Ruffs are expected to miss out. We'll have to see what Labrie says on those two. In recent times, it has been a fixture that Sunderland have got the better of Newcastle mind. Newcastle defenders also look good to buy in 31. Chow and Hall would be the 2 I'd consider. Who's got the best fixtures then? So we're going to look at projected goals and clean sheets from FPL.page, FPL Focal in the App Store of course. We'll do a Gameweek 31 special first, since a lot of you are looking to wildcard after the blank, and then we'll do the next 5 game weeks as usual. And for projected goals for 31, Newcastle actually top with 1.9, which is some food for thought on that Gordon shout. Outside of him, I would just avoid the Newcastle attackers. Fulham are second, so I think Wilson and Rao are the 2 there. Villa are third. As far as 1 week punts, I do think you can do worse than Rodgers and Watkins. And then it's Bournemouth, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United. For the next 5 game weeks, Liverpool are top of the league with 8.9 projected goals, Chelsea 8.8, Man United are third on 8.0, and then it's Brentford, Aston Villa, Newcastle and Brighton. Now, I'm not suggesting that you rush to buy Salah, even if Liverpool are top projected goals over the next 5. As a reminder, the FA Cup quarter-finals are on the 4th of April, after which point we'll know who's going to have a double in the blank game week. The most likely outcome based on the bookies' odds is that Arsenal, Brighton, Burnley, Chelsea, Man City and Newcastle get a double game week 33, so 6 teams with a double. So yeah, after game week 31 we'll know which double game week teams to target with transfers more, or obviously on a wildcard or a free hit if that's your chip strategy. For game week 31 projected clean sheets, Fulham are top with a 44% chance given home to Burnley. So yeah, Anderson, Tete, Leno, all solid picks. Newcastle was second, 41% chance. As I say, Chow and Hall are the 2 best picks for me there. I'd probably just go Chow since he's got really good goal threat. He scored a few times this season, plus more DEFCON potential than Hall. And then it's West Ham and Chelsea. I'm on Ryan Dubravka personally in my team, and I'm actually not bothering with a goalkeeper upgrade. I'll just play Dubravka, but Leno does have potential if you've got the luxury of a few transfers. In my case, it's just 1. It's just kind of hard to gauge whether that extra free transfer could be more valuable later. You know, let's say you wildcard to set up for double game week 33, and then we're expected to get another double in 36. Those extra transfers could be really useful. And of course, in a week where you use your wildcard and your free hit, the transfer just carries over from the week before. You don't get an extra one. So yeah, we need to find the right times to roll a transfer if we can, just in case we're not prepared for the doubles later. As I'm saying though, I'm in a position where I'm hopefully able to field 11 players already, so therefore probably won't spend an extra transfer. If you're, keeperless or you don't have 11 players one way or another, then obviously it's worth spending a transfer to get 11 players in game week 31. Anyway, next 5 game week clean sheet projections has got Arsenal top despite the blank. Aston Villa are actually in second, which surprised me with 1.6. And then it's Liverpool, and then it's Forest, Chelsea, and then Brentford. Double game weeks, of course, are going to be key though. Like if City and Arsenal get the double game week, then I'll run with double Arsenal defence, probably Gay from City, perhaps Chalobah if Chelsea get the double, and then maybe a cheaper enabler like Chow or Van Heck if they double. Anyway, moving on. 24 shots, 71% possession, and Man City struggling to score. Arguably a strange decision, certainly the way that fans feel, not to start Cherki, and he did have an impact after coming on. Haaland blank as well was huge. It's just the second time in 8 meetings that Haaland has failed to score against West Ham. So yeah, Arsenal going 9 points clear after Saturday's games, City with a game in hand though. Haaland did have 4 shots, but they were quite low quality chances. He had just 0.3 expected goals in total. There was one moment, it was a cut back from Doku, which Haaland scuffed wide, and you would have expected better from him. Perhaps a bit low on confidence right now. Lots of options though if you've got Haaland and you're looking to sell him for the blank, like Ekitike, João Pedro, Raul, Watkins. Bowen got the assist from Mavropanos' goal, and if I recall, that was literally West Ham's only shot on goal all game. He had a fantastic game, Mavropanos. It was proper body on the line defending. The big news was Liverpool versus Spurs. About 13 players, of course, missing for Spurs, but Slot ended up seeing this as an opportunity to rest a few players. Salah, Kanate, Ekitike all benched. Zoboslava's 5th free kick goal of the season, all comps to put them ahead. Just on Ekitike, Slot was asked and he said the following: he's basically okay, but sometimes if you play so many games and the games follow up so fast, if you feel a little bit, if you miss out on 1 or 2 training sessions, if you play every 3 days, then you miss the last day or a day before. Where if you play only once a week, then it's not such a big thing. But knowing that we only have one number 9 available, with Isak being out for so long already, it's a bit of everything. I liked Cody a lot playing against Wolves as a 9, so that's one thing. And second of all, Hugo didn't train this week, and he's played so many minutes that today I decided to play Cody. If there's any small positive to take from the benchings, if you had any of them, it's that at least they're likelier to play in the blank game week. And it's going to be a week where every player is needed for anyone that's not on the chip really. I guess the other positive is if you did the Haaland to Salah switch like me and many others did, Haaland did blank anyway, and it was the likes of Rice and Rodgers that people were selling for Salah who also blanked. But yeah, on reflection, definitely a mistake to make that switch. I should have just rolled the transfer. It wouldn't have actually made much of a difference points-wise, but there was always that risk of a benching. I guess there was with Haaland as well, but if when in doubt, just roll the transfer. That's what I tend to tell myself, and I made the mistake of going against that. Richarlison with a late equaliser in the dying minutes, clean sheet wiped, and Van Dijk was on for bonus as well. Absolute killer. Ekitike and Salah finished on 1 point. In other news, Bruno came away with a 10-pointer in the match against Villa, 3-1 win for United, a couple of assists from him and a couple of bonus points. Another Mbumo blank, it was Casemiro, Cunha and Sesko that scored the goals. Calvert-Lewin had a chance to put Leeds ahead against Palace away as well. They were missing Henderson in goal Palace. Benitez went the wrong way down to his left and DCL put it wide the opposite side. And then Gudmundsson got sent off for -2 points. Leeds, I think, will take the 0-0 draw there. Anderson was back in the Fulham starting 11 as well, which was a big relief for owners before that Burnley fixture in the blank game week, and he hit DEFCON as well for an 8-pointer. Brighton beat Sunderland away, who were missing Rivers and Mukiele, so that was a 9-pointer for Van Heck after DEFCON and bonus. Good result for Verbruggen owners as well. So let's have a look at the team for Gameweek 31 and transfer plans. The team is Dubravka, Anderson, Mukiele, Van Dijk, Mbumo, Tavernier, Bruno, Dango, Salah, Ekitike and Thiago, so 3-5-2. And as it stands, exactly 11 players not blanking, which is dependent on Mukiele and no injuries coming up midweek in Europe for the Liverpool trio. I took a little bit of a risk to try and just be more aggressive last game week. I bought Tavernier for Rodgers to target that Burnley game, which didn't come off. Alternatively, I could have left Rodgers in and just bought Tete for O'Reilly, just to make extra sure that I've got a full team of 31 and potentially able to roll. So basically, if Mukiele's out for the Newcastle game, then I am forced to make a transfer, whereas otherwise I would have been able to roll if I'd bought Tete, but obviously Tete is just a much lower ceiling pick. I still think Tavernier with Burnley was worth a go. Hopefully he can do something home to Man United next game week to make up for it. So if Mukiele is fine, Labrie said he does hope to have him back in training next week, which would line up with the timeline that was given on his return when he first got injured. So yeah, if he's fine, the plan is to roll the transfer. It's not the best 11 by any means. Like I'd love to have the likes of Wilson, a Newcastle defender, Leno in goal. That's roughly how I'd set up on a free hit. Going back to that new team of the week widget actually, so the optimal team this week would be Martinez, Anderson, Hall, Tete, Chow, Bruno, Gordon, Salah, Rodgers, Wilson and Watkins. But a lot of players are really close. There's like Bowen, Thiago, Ekitike, João Pedro, etc. If Mukiele's a big doubt or he's just not back at all for Game Week 31, then I'll sell O'Reilly for either Tete or Chow. It's going to be tempting to pile in with double Fulham defence home to Burnley. Like Fulham are actually great in home games especially, so I don't mind the double up for 1 week with a fixture like that. Anyway, thanks for watching, and make sure you hit subscribe before you go and become a premium supporter on FPL.page. Links below for the Focal app. See you soon for the next one.